Hey guys, welcome to today's video, your first off-camera flash setup. Now, I do a lot of these videos where I go into a lot of detail and I cover a lot of topics in one video, but with this video, I want to keep it contained to this one specific idea of putting your first off-camera flash setup together. So what we're going to cover today, three main things. What is off-camera flash? What gear do I recommend to beginners? And, how to put your first basic one light setup together and how to use it. What is off-camera flash? That's pretty easy once you are familiar with off-camera flash. You know how you can put your flash, you can connect it directly to your camera, one of those external flashes, a speed light. But you get to a certain point with your photography that you realize that always taking flash photos with that flash mounted directly to your camera isn't going to give you the best lighting or the desired type of lighting that you're looking for. And so you learn from other photographers and you ask them questions like, how do you get photos like that? And the answer usually is, I'm using off-camera flash. So what that usually means is instead of having your flash located directly at the camera position, or on the camera to subject axis, you position your flash away from the camera, somewhere located in the scene around the subject, usually not in the frame or in the shot, but somewhere in the scene to one side of the subject, usually behind the subject or above the subject, somewhere else other than on the camera position. We'll see some examples of that in a few minutes. All right, what kind of gear do I recommend to beginners? We're going to go over that starting right now. This is a basic off-camera flash kit that I recommend to beginners. And we'll just go over the components here. Of course, you've got your camera. That isn't actually part of the kit, but I put it here in this photo just to kind of give you an idea of how everything goes together. Now, the flash trigger located next to the camera in this shot, this trigger is mounted to the camera where you'd normally mount your flash on that hot shoe, on the camera's hot shoe. So you place that trigger on the hot shoe. You also need a flash, obviously, and you probably already have one of these, an external flash or a speed light. Like I said, you're going to need a light stand, a flash bracket, and an umbrella modifier. Of course, there are also softbox modifiers, but we're not going to get into that in this video. Okay, so let's cover light stands first. I usually like to use collapsible light stands because they're easy to set up and take down, and they take up very little room when you need to store them. I like the Impact brand light stand, and I usually get those from B&H or from Amazon. And you want to look for a stand that can extend to a height of at least 7 or 8 feet and have a load capacity of at least 8 pounds, because you're going to be placing your flash and your modifier and of course a flash bracket on the top of that light stand. You don't want it to come down. You want it to be a good secure stand, and Impact makes pretty good stands like this. And I'll note the exact model in the description below. As far as flash brackets go, there are several different types of flash brackets. This is called the S-type, and this is by Godox. They've also got the S2 type, and that's the newer version. That's one I'd recommend that you get. This allows you to securely mount your smaller flash units onto the top of the light stands. And these S2 type brackets can accommodate both umbrella modifiers and anything that's got a Bowens style mount, like a lot of softboxes these days. So you can, it's really versatile because you can place either a softbox, in front of your flash to modify it with a bracket like this, or you can use an umbrella, which is what we're talking about. That's a configuration we're talking about for this video. And here is the shoot through umbrella. White translucent umbrella, about 40 inches to 43 inches in diameter. These are great for starting out. It's easy to set up and provides a soft, fairly even lighting for portraits and other types of photography, even product photography. I'm going to say fairly even because, so the very front surface of the modifier, because it's an umbrella shape, it's like kind of a dome shape, that's going to be a little bit closer to your subject than the outer edges are. With a softbox, usually you've got a flat front panel, so you're not going to have that same issue. But this works in a pinch. I mean, I've done so many different types of photo shoots with a setup like this. I'd say it even has a lot of advantages over a traditional softbox. All right, and of course you've got your flash unit. Like I said, you probably already own one of these. It's just an external flash. If you don't already own one, make sure that you pick one up that's of good quality. Just check the reviews. It should have a rotating flash head, a swiveling flash head, so that you can point that flash head in different directions if you've got it on your camera. Otherwise, Most flashes will work. You're going to need one that's compatible with the flash trigger that you buy. And these flash points and Godox units, their flash triggers all work with, most of their flash units and their strobes, whether they're mid-sized strobes or larger strobes. So it's a good ecosystem if you buy into something like Godox or Flashpoint, which, by the way, Godox and Flashpoint are compatible. I'm just going to throw in a little info about backdrops, not that they're part of the lighting setup per se, but they are part of your portrait setup. And if you're going to get a backdrop, backdrops are available as seamless paper, muslin, canvas, vinyl, and other materials. And they come in various colors and patterns. Now, if you're going to hang a backdrop, you're going to need something to hang it on, and that is a backdrop stand or a background stand. You can see this whole thing here behind the umbrella modifier and the flash setup in this photo up against the wall. Make sure you get a backdrop stand that is sturdy, preferably a telescoping crossbar that extends 9 feet to 12 feet at its maximum in length. That'll give you a lot of versatility. If you've got one subject, something short like this, just collapsing it short like this for a small, say 53-inch roll of paper is fine. But if you've got 2, 3, 4 subjects in the shot at the same time, in other words, a group shot, maybe something for a band photo or a little family portrait, you're going to need to extend that pole, that crossbar a little more, and you're going to need a backdrop that also is wide enough to accommodate. Okay, so putting everything together. Yes, you've got your flash on hand, hopefully, and you're not going to have it on your camera because you are going to mount your flash trigger to your camera. And it's basically a trigger that communicates to your flash via radio transmission. And your flash either has a receiver for this radio triggers transmission. It has a receiver built in, or you're going to get an external receiver that hooks up to your flash. And of course, you're going to need the flash bracket. And you can see in this image here, the flash bracket is mounted to the top of the light stand. You place your flash in that flash bracket, you secure it, and then you place your umbrella. Then you control everything with your flash trigger. And hopefully, at some point, you will learn how to use that flash trigger and the flash and your camera in manual mode to just have really expert control over your flash portraits. All right, now today you're going to get some free downloads if you click the link below this video. And in this set of downloads, I've got the 10-minute guide to off-camera flash, which is going to be really helpful for learning how to put this stuff together. So make sure you grab these free downloads, which also include, by the way, the camera bag checklist, the photo shoot notebook pages that you can print off an unlimited amount for yourself and make diagrams of your own lighting setups as you go. So over time, you're building a collection of your own lighting recipes, your lighting setup recipes, and you can just put them in a notebook of your own. And we've also got a couple of model release templates that you can use. So this is a very helpful little package. It's free. All you need to do is click the link below. So in this video, we're not going to go into a lot of detail about how exactly to put these lighting setups together, as far as the positioning of the lights and stuff, but I do want to go over with you the basics, okay? So in this diagram, I've got the backdrop and the backdrop stand, which you're not always going to need, and I'll show you an example of that in a minute. We have the shoot-through umbrella, the flash, the bracket, and the light stand. And here's one thing that I'm going to want you to learn. This is a request I make of all my students. That's the portrait lighting patterns. You've got the short, the broad, the Rembrandt, the butterfly, and the split lighting pattern. These are foundational lighting patterns for portraiture. I would imagine not every photographer who does portraiture actually knows how to do these lighting patterns, but I just strongly recommend that you learn how to do them and get these under your belt, because everything else after this is going to build on your knowledge of understanding how these lighting patterns work. Now, what can you do with only one light? You can do images like this. This is a one light shot. It is a flash on a stand. This is actually done with a strobe, but it really is all the same. Flash on a stand, lighting modifier, and it is located up high and to camera right, just left of the subject herself. This is just I guess what you'd consider sort of a fashion type shot. This is a boudoir-ish shot that I did with one light, essentially the same position relative to the subject that we had in the previous shot. But in the background, I've got some natural light coming in through the windows. So it's really good to learn how to mix natural light and artificial light to get these types of effects. Again, one light, this time positioned almost directly in front of the subject, but up a little high. And it's just a classic portrait. I think it's very sleek looking. Got that gray background. And another example of using that gray background with one light in a very standard position. Just to give you some context here, the image on the left was shot with one light. It was a flash and an umbrella setup like we've been talking about. The light's located camera left in this example, as opposed to the behind the scenes shot that you see over here on the right, where I've got the light located on camera right. This black and white photo was done for a musician, and it was kind of an artsy take on a portrait. And the photo on the right is just an example of how this lighting setup works. It's with a different subject, but the setup is basically the same. So just in case you're curious, let's just do a quick cost breakdown of what something like this would run if you bought all the pieces. Okay, now, like I said, you probably already have the speed light, but if you didn't, you had to buy a speed light. Third-party one like Godox for Flashpoint, $175 to $250. A flash trigger like the Godox X Pro or X Pro 2, which I recommend, $70 to $90. Collapsible light stand, the impact that does extend to 8 feet, about $35. A flash bracket, the Godox S2, $25, and an umbrella white translucent, anywhere from $12 to $20. So overall, a very affordable way to step up from the on-camera flash look. Okay, here are the basic lighting concepts and skills that I recommend all my students learn, especially if you're starting off. Setups and techniques, this is what we started with here. In this video, I gave you the overview of how to set something like that up. You want to learn how to use your camera and flash not only in TTL mode, but also in manual modes. And what that means is you're going to learn how to use your flash in manual mode, and you're going to learn how to use your camera's manual exposure settings. That's ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. You're going to need to learn to put all that together and understand how that works. That involves knowing the exposure triangle, this next bullet point that I have here, and the 5 basic portrait lighting patterns that we talked about earlier. Learn how to create those with one light, and then at some point, you'll add more lights to your setup. Don't forget your free downloads today, which includes the 10-minute guide to off-camera flash. Strongly suggest that you pick that up. Otherwise, that's about all I've got for you today, guys. Make sure that you subscribe, like, go ahead and leave me a comment or a question. I love to read those. All right, like I said, that's about it. See you next time.